Greetings, YouTube. Um, one thing I've noticed over the years is that people will talk about trauma they've experienced. And sometimes you'll get folks breaking out into the trauma Olympics where they'll start saying, oh, the trauma I had was, uh, this, this, and this. And someone will say, well, my trauma was this. And it seems like they're trying to engage in some form of one-upmanship when it comes to trauma. You don't get to judge how severe someone else's trauma is. And you probably shouldn't be comparing your own to other people. You can commiserate. You can say, yeah, I had a similar experience, this and this, but trying to outshine is not a helpful or healthy way of getting about the conversation to trauma. But another tactic, which is far uglier, and hence the title of this video, is that people will debate trauma. They'll start deciding what is and isn't traumatic. Of course, in their highly educated opinion, based on the pulling things out of their ass. Um, if you think that someone has not experienced trauma, keep keep that as an inside thought, right? Locked right in there. Don't let that out because none of us need to hear it. And again, you can't compare trauma. If somebody is commiserating with you because they're tired because they put in an 80-hour week, welcome to capitalism, you can commiserate with them. And if somebody else says they've worked 8 hours this week and they are just experiencing fatigue, don't compare the two. Don't judge one more than the other. Fatigue is fatigue. There could be a very good reason that person only worked 8 hours. Maybe 8 hours is a personal best. Maybe they've been struggling with mental and physical issues that you will never understand because it's none of your business. Don't make those comparisons. Unless you have proof that the person is engaged in an act of, malfeasance, they're, attempting to defraud someone else, they're attempting to commit a type of crime, um, or they're just being a bad actor because they are a troll or a bigot. Yeah, just walk away. Don't say anything if you think that somebody is, BSing you. Um, I do first aid at work. And some of the things I encounter, I can do something about. Somebody's bleeding, as long as it's not serious, I can patch them up, send them on their way. They got a burn, as long as it's not serious, I can patch them up, send them on their way. But there are things that are well beyond my capacity to deal with. Um, I walked into a men's room one day and because somebody said there was somebody bleeding and found somebody literally squirting blood like a fountain across the room because he had opened up a varicose vein in his leg. Someone pulled a rack onto their head and it's a 450-pound rack and pinned them to the floor. I could see this person's skull through their forehead. Didn't want to do that. I like this person. Their face is lovely. I'd like to just see the outside. Um, those are things that were well outside my capacity to handle. And I did what I could to mitigate the situation at hand until they could get better, proper professional health care. Um, yeah, not my thing. I can't do anything about it. But sometimes I can't do anything about it. And all I'm doing is an after action report or I'm filling out an incident report. So someone, in case something happens at a later date, they've got their butt covered. Sometimes that's all I am. Sometimes I am just, you know, slapping boilerplate on something. So in the event someone discovers that something is more serious than at that moment they think it is, they can say, yeah, I filed a report on this day. I didn't realize at the time how serious it was. I got called to one person one night, and I'm not saying this person doesn't work there anymore. This was a long time ago, and I'm not going to tell you their name, even if I could remember it, which I can't. But I got called over there, and I talked to him. He's running his press, and I said, "What's up?" And he said, he like get really close, very conspiratorial, and he said, "I'm peeing blood." And I stopped and looked at him, and I'm like, "Eh, and what do you expect me to do about that?" I said, you should talk to a professional. When you get out of work, go to an urgent care. Because it wasn't continuous. It was just when he was urinating. So I'm like, okay, you're not actually suffering a wound, and discovered he was drinking like 6 monsters a day. So they said, Drink nothing but water for the next month." He didn't last that long at the company, but I hope he took the advice. Um, then one day I had somebody saying that there was a gas source above their station that was giving them headaches. Now we have pipes in the building that that we move nitrogen through. Now nitrogen is 78% of our atmosphere. 78% of what you're breathing, what I am breathing right now, that we are moving in and out of our lungs at this very moment is nitrogen. Okay? And we use it uh, for cooling and for certain applications, as well as we use it to prevent combustion. We'll actually force it into a process so that it displaces air, so that when something goes under pressure, it doesn't produce a flame. Because when it does, it's a very loud bang and it's horrible, horrible black acrid smoke. Take my word for it. I've seen this happen. Um, but nitrogen is not harmful to you, particularly in a room where the plume that you are seeing is 20 feet above your head and it's this long and it's just condensed moisture from a leak in the piping system. Okay, it was not harmful to these people. The two people actually were claiming having migraines because of this gas. Now it was a gas, but it is what we could probably call an inert gas for all practical purposes. Um, but I filed a report. I didn't judge him. I didn't say anything. I just said, just say what you want to say. If you agree with everything, good. I said, what's your boss's name? All that information. You signed the bottom. I signed the back. Have a nice day. And I walked away. And then I washed my hands of it. Someone else's trauma was none of my business. I didn't need to know what was going on. I don't know what ever happened after that. I really don't. Nobody ever got back to me. They kept working there. So they probably worked it out. But just don't debate people's harm. Don't debate people's trauma. Because very rarely will it ever be anything other than a bad actor. A few times when someone is sincerely attempting to make a point, it's usually because they're absolutely clueless. It's frequently what you'll hear from like the engineer's disease. They're actually good at one thing, so then it convinces them that they're good at everything. I've seen that a lot in older white dudes who have been engineers in their lives. Um, as they get older and they get uh, more convinced that their knowledge is broader and broader and broader and broader, until eventually it encompasses the entire universe because they were an electrical engineer before they retired, or they were an accountant or something, you know. But no. The reality is that it's not anything that you know anything about. You just like to bloviate about it, and you're hurting someone else's feelings, even if that you personally believe that you are sincerely trying to help. It doesn't mean you are. Okay, so yeah, don't debate trauma. It's at best clueless and at worst incredibly unbelievably tacky and cruel.